life. In a study published by the American Psychological Association, Yale School of Public Health professor Becca Levy, Ph.D., concluded that even if you are not aware of them, negative thoughts about aging that you pick up from society can undermine your health and have destructive consequences. In the study, a large number of middle-aged people were interviewed 6 times over the course of 20 years and asked whether they agreed with such statements as you get older, you are less useful." Remarkably, the perceptions held by people about aging proved to have more impact on how long they would live than did their blood pressure, their cholesterol level, whether they smoked, or whether they exercised. Those people who had positive perceptions of aging lived an average of 7.5 years longer than those with negative images of growing older. Negative images not only lead to compromised health and shortened lives, they also are distressing in the present. Dr. Levy's study found that people with negative perceptions of aging were more likely to consider their lives worthless, empty, and hopeless, while those with more positive perceptions of aging were more likely to view their lives as fulfilling and hopeful. When we are disrespectful to older people and make them invisible, we attempt to ignore the aging process we are experiencing. We hide its signs and look away from the longer-term consequences of our lifestyles. As a result, we make lifestyle choices that may make sense in the short term, but take a heavy toll in the end. I asked a friend recently how he thought he might age. "I'll probably end up in a nursing home somewhere," he replied with some bitterness, "with a feeding tube in my nose, staring at the acoustic squares in the ceiling, incontinent, impotent, and impoverished." Sadly, such views are not unusual. I've seen bumper stickers that say, "Avenge yourself. Live long enough to become a burden to your children." When you distrust the aging process, it's hard to imagine yourself enjoying your older years, doing things like dancing, jogging, or hiking. It can be difficult even to consider the possibility that you might, during every phase of your lifetime, have the capacity for growth, change, and creativity. In the last 100 years, we've added nearly 30 years to the average life expectancy in the industrialized world. But for many older adults, the later years are not a time of happiness and well-being. A century ago, the average adult in Western nations spent only 1% of his or her life in a morbid or ill state. But today's average modern adult spends more than 10% of his or her life sick. People are living longer today, but all too often they are dying longer too, of chronic diseases that cause debility and cognitive impairment. By 2025, the annual cost of managing chronic conditions in the United States will exceed $1 trillion. Already, half of those aged 65 and over have 2 or more chronic diseases, and a quarter have problems so severe as to limit their ability to perform 1 or more activities of daily living. Meanwhile, the average age of the chronically ill is continually getting younger. Throughout the industrialized world, people are living longer, but they are getting sick sooner, so the number of years they spend chronically ill is actually increasing in both directions. Sometimes I think we have not so much prolonged our lives as prolonged our dying. While we have extended the human lifespan, we have not extended the human health span. The age wave. As our older people are getting less and less well, their numbers are growing, and this process is about to shift into hyperdrive. As author Ken Deichtwald has described in his seminal book, Age Power, there are at this very moment approximately 80 million baby boomers in the United States barreling toward old age. The term baby boomer generally refers to people born between 1945 and 1960. In 1900, there were only 3 million people in the United States who were 65 or older. By 2000, the number had leapt to 33 million. A century ago in the United States, the odds of living to the age of 100 were less than 1 in 500. Now the Census Bureau expects that 1 in 26 baby boomers will reach that age. Today, the likelihood that a 20-year-old American will have a living grandmother, 91%, is higher than the likelihood that a 20-year-old in 1900 had a living mother, 83%. This advanced age wave is the most significant demographic event of our lifetime, and it is taking place in every industrialized nation in the world. About half of all people who have ever lived past the age of 65 are alive today.